The ecosystem of SAP Concur is actually very important to us. Things like Rocket Trip have driven our cost savings to a new height within the organization. We saved $130,000 last year.
The mobile app and Triplet, those are great tools for our associates. Triplet will send itinerary automatically to the traveler. The mobile app have so many great features and automated the process.
You want to make the processes that support the business as effective as possible, making sure that the GW experience is exactly as advertised. When we send students abroad, we want them to be focused on the reason they're there, the transaction, the reimbursements, all of that. We want that to feel like you're still right at home in your residence hall. So now when I get ready to approve an expense report, I can take time that would be wasted time and turn it into productive time, no matter where you are in the world.
NEC はネットワーク技術とコンピューティング技術を併せ持つインテグレーターとしてグローバルで事業を展開しています。NEC の課題はグローバルな競争力を常に維持・確保し続けるということです。
NEC グループではNEC マネージメントパートナーを中心として間接業務の改革を進めてまいりました。SAP コンカーを導入した大きなメリットとして一つは伝承法、E文書対応が推進できるということです。これによってですね、従業員が領収書を貼り付けて提出するような工程が省けますので、領収書自体の保管なども含めて大幅な効率化、コスト削減が見込める。
The implementation of Concur allowed us to rethink our policies in line with a new strategy that we never had before.
You can use it anywhere. If I need to book a quick flight for someone, I can just log onto my phone, book it with no problems at all. Just makes the whole process so much easier.
Reporting to the UK governing body when it comes to tax used to be quite a laborious and manual process. Now with Concur we're able to produce those reports in a matter of minutes.
Discovery is a global leader in real-life entertainment all around the world. There is a purpose to our mission in travel. We're trying to get our travelers to their destinations safely, productively, and return safely.
We were using two different systems. Employees had to book travel on one system and then reconcile their expenses on another system.
Now, with Concur Travel and Expense, it's a lot more efficient.
With TripLink, we're able to increase online adoption, capture data through credit card spend, as well as invisible spend, which for a long time we didn't know existed.
All that data that's provided by Concur helps us make the right decisions. And we're not just kind of like saying, oh, we should do this. You know, the data helps us make that decision.
We're always striving to be better. We all want to achieve that, to be the best we can possibly be.
Therefore, you have to pick world-class platforms like SAP Concur to make sure that we're focused on the right things and not the difficult things.
So that means you're making processes as easy to do as possible.
Welcome to the webinar. Before we start, here are some tips for you to interact with us. You are welcome to submit a question using the Q&A widget. Also, don't forget to fill in the survey form before the end of the event. Here are more tips for you to enhance your experience. This webinar is being streamed through your computer and there is no dial-in number. All the widgets on your screen are resizable and movable. If your slides are behind, push F5 or function plus F5 on your keyboard to refresh your page. For any inquiry, feel free to contact us by email or phone. Let's start the webinar.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for attending the SAP Concur webinar today, talking about how to build a more resilient and adaptive enterprise after the third wave of the pandemic. I'm Hermie Chu, Territory Director of SAP Concur. To kickstart, let me walk through today's agenda. Firstly, we are glad to have Stanley Yong, partner of Consulting Technology Transformation from Ernst & Young Advisory Services Limited, to join us for the Power Talk section on how to build a more resilient and adaptive enterprise. Then we will have Victor Hui, Pre-Sales Solution Manager from SAP Concur, to share with us how to deploy a contemporary spend management solution in new world of work. finally, we have the Q&A section. In the meantime, you are welcome to submit any questions in the Q&A chat box in the left-hand side. As 2020 started, no one could have anticipated how the world would change, including the unprecedented shift in the way of work. While the pandemic has created extraordinary challenges and uncertainty, it also presents an opportunity for business to rethink, assess, and develop strategies for the organization, not only to survive, but to become more resilient to the future uncertainty. Stanley, can you describe some common challenges that you observe from your customer under the current situation?
Yes, Hermie. I think the last year is really a difficult year for every company in Hong Kong and globally. In particular, some areas, some sectors like transportations, hotel, retail sectors, they really have a deep impact from the COVID-19. Not just COVID-19, but also a trade war from US and China. Yeah. So they really have a very hard time in terms of top line sales as well as the cost savings. Besides the KPI itself, there are also another concern regarding the resources, like how to make sure a company is resilient, how to become more sustainable. First of all, to go through the difficult situations. Secondly, if the economy is picking up, how the sustainable resources can help them. So it's kind of a difficult situation for the company to make quick decisions on how to have a good resources mix as well. And on the other hand, very interestingly, a lot of the company without a decent IT budget, and in the last year, they actually have a kind of a bigger spend in IT investment as well. The reason for that is the government has a lot of policy to having people to stay at home, work from home, and everyone is actually purchasing a lot of different IT equipments, collaboration solutions. So for those companies didn't have that kind of equipment on hand, there will be a quite kind of a challenges for them to build that up.
Yeah. I see that the customer right now are really facing different types of challenges.
Exactly. Yeah.
So from your point of view, do you see that the companies are responding to this type of challenges and uncertainty or crisis in different ways?
Yes, of course. Basically, what I think is we don't know what we don't know. Okay. And a lot of my clients is actually are doing a lot of business planning. And usually in like 5-6 years ago, they are doing it like yearly or half yearly. Right now, they are doing more frequently. The reason for that is they want to have more KPI understanding on their business, doing stress tests to make sure that they have all the information on hand to deal with different situations. Besides the budgeting and all the kinds of analysis they want to do, some of the executive is also looking into the futures. They thought this is a right timing to do business transformation. Okay, right now they're doing budgeting for the short-term discussion to handle all the COVID-19 trade war. But again, this is a new normal, I think. And they're also thinking about the future, how to adopt a new normal, new business model, and also digital workplace. All those initiatives are actually very hot right now. So actually, I think all the companies are doing all their ways, all their works to deal with this current situation.
Yeah, well understand. So from my own observations, I find that companies right now, the primary action they're taking right now is to try to find ways to cut costs or have better cost control. And so among all the costs, I see that they will look into the second largest operating expense other than payroll, because they don't want to touch on the employee or the staff, like cutting their headcount. So they will mainly try to find way to control better on their operating costs, like T&E expense by the employees, and maybe also like vendor purchase for some indirect cost items. So we do have customers who started the journey for the spend management early this year. They have already realized some benefits, such as they right now can enforcing better control on their costs, either against the budget or before the expense is incurred, and they have better visibility on how they spend, so they can make wise decisions how to spend and spend on what matters most. and that will help them a lot and to achieve the resilience and adaptability that they would like to do under these current situations. So you have a lot of customers and like also talk with a lot of like industry players. So how do you see their inclinations on this type of like spend management transformation?
I think most of our customers actually doing a lot of investigations right now, studies. The reason for that, they think that like 5-6 years ago, spend management is actually a nice to have tools. Don't get me wrong, actually every company is doing spend management, but they're doing it manually or using Excel spreadsheet. But nowadays with COVID-19 and all the already disruption of different technologies, they are actually looking into more real-time information that they can act responsively to all those different situations. So for example, one of my clients is actually doing it like in Excel spreadsheet before. They take about 5 days to do a spend analysis. But right now, not just 5 days is a long time, probably 2 days is long as well. So they're actually looking into different situations, different scenario with tools provided. One question they ask, can we really quickly using any solution to help them to build the spend management tools? What I said is with all the tools available on cloud right now, spend management, procurement, BI tools, data analytics, data warehouse, cloud solutions, they are actually having a very readily made solutions. All the company didn't need to do a lot of IT investment to build that up by themselves, right? They don't need to build all the server and application layer and everything up there and then put it on. They just click and do kind of a budgeted OpEx way to do it. So they are really looking into different companies how to do it quickly. And I think cloud solutions for spend management is very good because it's ready to make and then you can just go in, put in data and you can ready use it. So I think the incarnation is the client is actually looking for a fast, budgeted way to handle all the situations. From my clients, in the last 2 years, I have more than 15-20 clients is actually starting to look into this. And some of them, when they implement in the last 2 years, I cannot say they have immediately benefit right after 2 months and then you can get it. But some of our clients, after 1 or 2 years, it is easily to get at least identify 10%, 20% of the spending is not necessary. So that is actually a great area to invest to make sure the company, at least we are not saying to after implementing spend management can save the world, right? But it actually can also help to become one of the key components for the resilience, for sustainability for the company.
Yeah, I think it's very encouraging to know that there are so many companies start to or already start their journey to transform the spend management process. So you have a lot of experience with different clients or even different industry. Can you share with our audience today what are the 3 major advice you give them if they wanted to kickstart their journey right now to transform or to better improve their spend management process?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think I can divide in 2 folds. The first one is basically on business side. As I said, the spend management is starting to be very important right now. We are also talking about the internal spending. What I see, the key thing is the policy and the guidelines. Make sure that the policy and guidelines is aligned to your business plan. Are you going to be a sustainable model, or you are aggressively going put forward to a business transformation? So first of all, you make sure your expense policy or spending policy is actually aligned to business plan. And this is number 1. And number 2, employee is very important too, right? If you change their spending behavior, this is kind of need to be communicated properly. So we see a lot of the cases, if there's union in your company, then it will be a kind of difficult situation, right? But if it is even now, I think the communication to the employee is very important. Why the spending is shift from your standard travel allowance or meal allowance to the IT equipment, such that you can work from home you have more work-life balance. So this is kind of communication. You need to build some business case or benefit case for employee, make sure that they understand why we have that kind of policy. So this is number 2. And number 3, on the other side, we talk about internal, we talk about external as well. Invoice supplier management is very important as well. In COVID-19, and the world is changing so fast. And a lot of suppliers are actually in very difficult situations. You don't know which one is going to be your future partners. You cannot base on your gut feeling saying that, or relationship, oh, this is my friend, I want to work with him. Of course, that is one thing. But on the other hand, with all the information on hand, we need to understand facts-based analysis to understand which supplier is actually your best ecosystem supplier, your strategic partner. We talk about strategic sourcing all the time. So you need to have those supply information, spend informations, spend analysis to make sure that you have proper analysis on your ecosystem, to make sure they are not just carrying you through these difficult situations, but in the future, when the economy pick up, they can also work with you to deliver your business plan. So I think 3 key things are those 3 areas that we talk about.
Yeah, I think these are all the very good points, and I see like for your advice, I got the points like you have to be very well communicate with your employees when you deploy such a kind of a re-engineering of the process or transformation we talk about, and also like it helped you with a lot of like relationship with like even from the external partners for your future like purchase decisions or making more strategic and more resilient, particular to the business. Yeah, and so I think like we have already talked about like what the challenges and what advice we can provide to our audience. I think our audience will also be interested to see like how and expand spend management solutions and help the companies to achieve their goals like cost saving and resilience and compliance and visibility. So would you be interested in learning more about how SAP Concur spend management solution work?
I think SAP is one of the key solutions in the market. So I'm very interested to understand what can it do and how can it help the client to move forward in these situations.
Yeah, great. So without further ado, then let me pass it to Victor Hui, Pre-Sales Solution Manager from SAP Concur, to share with us on how to deploy a contemporary spend management solution in new world of work.
Thanks, Hermie. Thank you very much for Hermie and Stanley on the great discussion about some insight on how to build the business resilience. Hello, I'm Victor Hui, Pre-Sales Solutions Manager in SAP Concur. I would like to share with you on how to deploy a contemporary spend management solution to accommodate the new world of work. SAP Concur offers a seamless, scalable, end-to-end spend management platform that gives customers greater visibility, control, and employee productivity. The core product suite includes expense, travel, and invoice, together with the network which is integrated among all global and local partners in ecosystems. With SAP Concur, you will find the end-to-end total spend management that offers in-depth functionalities based on our best practices and experience in different countries, and helps manage your spending inside and outside of your organization. The employees across all departments, including finance departments, will benefit with the values arising from connected ecosystem of the partners, apps, and suppliers and ERP integrations. If you have some workload that you want to outsource to SAP Concur to do so, it is also possible. For example, you can outsource audit services for your internal expenses to our Concur audit service team to do eyeball checking and ensure that the expenses are in compliance with the corporate rules of your company. In order to deploy a contemporary spend management platform with good end-user experience, there are 4 main elements you need to consider. First, you need to boost productivity through the initiative of automation. This is a very fundamental step and mindset that you need to foster in your mind from a company perspective. Second, proactive management of cash outflows in order to have a better spend and budget control. Third, you need to minimize any out-of-the-policy spending by enforcing an effective compliance rules and policy within your organization. Fourth, You also need to increase the visibility and spend governance in order to achieve cost optimization. The first element is automation. In the T&E process within a company, you should be able to effortlessly manage end-to-end expense claim process. Let me walk through with an example here. Being an employee, you can file expense claims not only through the web interface, but also via Concur native mobile app at any time and anywhere. Suppose that I'm an employee who need to take a business trip or need to get my client entertainment expenses for pre-approval. After I have submitted my request, my manager can use his or her mobile to approve it. In the meantime, the manager can check if my request exceeds the assigned budget. The manager can also see the budget trending and consumption details on mobile. If it is okay, the manager will approve on the mobile. After receiving the approval message from my manager, I can use Concur Travel, which is a consumer-grade online booking tool, to book my flights and hotels. With Concur Travel, I can easily search those preferred airlines and hotels that are compliant to the company policy at any time and anywhere. During the trip, I pay the meal with my corporate card. With such transaction will be posted to the Concur platform automatically. After I took Uber, since my Uber profile was connected with my Concur profile, the e-receipt from Uber will also automatically place into my Concur account, thus reducing a lot of the manual input and avoid human input error. For those transactions paid by cash, I can take a picture on the receipt using the Concur mobile app. With OCR technology, relevant expense items information will be captured and the transaction will be automatically classified for me based on the machine learning technology. It reduces the input effort. This is also useful when the receipt is lost by accident. Concur platform will also allow the Concur customer to put the audit rules and the policies in the system. Bill limit, for example, if it is over, the platform will prompt the user and manager with an alert. From the company point of view, it is to ensure the compliance throughout the organization, and the employee claim behavior can also be fine-tuned. After I have submitted the expense report, my manager can be notified and approve my expense report using mobile app. My manager can see the necessary details such as policy exception, receipt images at fingertip. Mobile-enabled process shortens the entire processing time. For the invoice process, again, let me walk through a day-to-day example in your organization. Imagine that you want to purchase a printer for your office. You can create a purchase request in Concur and submit for approval. When your manager approves your purchase, he or she can see the budget impact and approve on mobile or web at any time and anywhere. Once approved, PO can be automatically generated and ready to be sent to the vendor. When you receive the printer, you can also mark the receipt in the system if it's necessary. Afterwards, you get the invoice from the vendor through email. You can simply upload this electronic invoice to the platform or scan the hard copy of the invoice into the platform. Concur automatically extracts the invoice details through the OCR technology. The key information including vendor name, invoice date, invoice number and amount, as well as the key line item information including the product description, quantity and amount will be captured. In this case, a lot of the data entry time has been saved. Once the invoice details are populated in the system, embedded policy check helps me to identify any exceptions that I need to be aware of, such as mismatch of the PO and invoices. After checking is done and invoices are matched, I can submit the invoice online. System can route the invoice to corresponding approvers automatically according to your rules. Approvers can approve on the mobile or web at any time to shorten the approval process. Subsequently, the invoice can go to the finance for final check and be posted to the accounting system. With such digitalization process in place from end to end, the finance department will save more time for better cash flow management. Suppose that I'm uploading an invoice to the Concur platform, which leverages OCR technology to reduce the manual entry. This is the invoice header information such as invoice number, invoice date, vendor name that is captured by the platform. Another information to be captured is the invoice date, invoice amount, PO number, other charge such as tax shipping charges. Another part to be captured is invoice line items including the item description, part number, unit price, quantity. The user also uses the mouse to drag to the field in the invoice form for recognition in the verification step. Concur platform also be based in predefined logic to route to the appropriate requester or owner. All the above process can be done when you are working from home. This is very easy and efficient and save a lot of the manual effort. The other important element of a spend management solution is pre-spend and budget control. An element can raise a purchase request specifying what kind of product or services to buy, or pre-approval request for travel or some entertainment expense. Before the manager approves the request, they care about not only the rationale behind this request, but also the amount and the impacts to the budget as well. The manager can see the near real-time visibility on the budget, how this request amount can impact the budget, where were the budget spent before, and the trend of the spending, etc. In order to allow the manager to make better decisions right at fingertips, he or she can see the budget performance and related information in the Concur mobile app, same as the web interface as well. Therefore, near real-time pre-spend control can be achieved. In the budget dashboard, on top of the overall budget status, you can see more details like who is spending or who has spent and how much is the amount. What is the spend purpose? When it happened? How did it affect my budget in terms of the percentage? This information is very important to the budget owners as they can look into where to allocate the resources and ensure the spending is in line with the budget. It helps them to make a wiser and more informed spend decision. The other element of a spend management solution is effective compliance enforcement. Over here, audit rules can be set up to check the payment request against the company policies to enforce proper control upon the submission. For example, the audit rules can be based on the invoice number, vendor name, expense types, and invoice amounts to identify duplicate invoices. We can also trigger additional approval flow if the requested amount is above a certain amount. This will safeguard the possibility to overpay the suppliers and make sure outgoing cash are really in line with the business initiatives and requirements. In T&E aspect, we see that a lot of the organizations have different T&E policy for different cost centers, staff profiles, and expense categories. For example, regional and local office employees may have different hotel spend limits. Expat may be granted to access certain benefits, such as the club membership claims. It can be a challenge for employees, managers, and finance to understand all these rules. With Concur, you can set the audit rules with the granular parameters in the system. System can then automatically check the entitlement and alert the employee accordingly. Therefore, the employees would immediately know the expense policy in a personalized way. It is more efficient to educate employees on the current policy and encourage them to become more responsible for the spending. If necessary, the system can route to the corresponding personnel for approval accordingly to ensure the proper control in various situations. For better spend control, many companies would set up approval routing according to different situations. For example, claims would go to different approvers according to spend amount, spend categories, spend purpose, and cost owners, etc. With SAP Concur, such logic can be embedded in the approval workflow, and the system can route to the corresponding personnel for approval. Audit trail is enabled in order to ensure accountability of each role. For gift and hospitality spend, companies in some industries such as financial services and insurance will require capturing the attendee information as one of the anti-bribery measures. To efficiently capture the attendee names, Concur supports the adding and searching from lists. Per head meal limit can also be set according to the different attendee types with the automated alert and special approval routing. Such alerts can serve to educate employees for more responsible and compliant spend behavior. Captured attendee spend information can also be used for suspected fraud analysis. Also, there are some companies that worry about the hidden non-compliant expenses. One of the common sources would be hotel spend, which may hide away some out-of-policy items such as laundry, TV programs, or minibars if there is no breakdown in expense report. If employees are asked to break down the spend, it can be very time-consuming and error-prone task. With Concur, employee can simply email forward the hotel folio to Concur email address so that all the items will be automatically itemized for you to reduce the data entry effort. Rules can be set to highlight the out-of-policy items and enable employee to declare any personal charges during the hotel stay. With such feature, it is very easy for the company to identify out-of-policy spending. Besides flagging out the exceptions during the expense claim process, many organizations would like to have regular review of spend policy execution to evaluate execution effectiveness and room for improvement. With SAP Concur, organizations can look into pre-built compliance analysis. They can see the compliance trending and drill down to see if certain exceptions are attributed to certain employees in particular situation. Organizations then get actionable insights on what to do next, such as spend policy training or policy revision. The fourth element of the spend management solution is visibility and spend governance. A lot of the companies would have different expenses shared by other departments or projects, for example, rental costs, marketing event costs, or IT project costs, which will be allocated to different projects, cost centers, or product lines. In Concur platform, user can easily use a drop-down list or template for cost allocation. It can be even automatically routed to the corresponding cost owner for approval, so that you will be able to see the granular analysis on which department or project has spent the money. The corresponding owners will know what to spend or what has been spent. With this cost allocation feature, cash flow can be managed much more precisely. In order to increase your visibility and corporate spend efficiency, you can view key metrics for your company's combined spend associated with your company's expense reports and invoices. For example, you will be able to see the trend for the combined T&E and invoice spending, what is the amount of the accruals, what is the impact on your cash flows and budgets. All these spend decisions are very critical to the business resilience and profitability of an organization right now. You can also see what is the life cycle or processing time of the expense and invoices submission, approval, and payment. Therefore, you can evaluate the need for the changes in the expense and procurement processes. In most of the time, you may want to know more granular analysis of your vendor spend. For example, how much you spend on certain vendors, what are the top spenders in your organization, what are the spend trend for different expense types. With such kind of information, you can have a better understanding on vendor spending status in your organization. You can also negotiate better terms with those vendors you have spent most with. When you want to have a better picture on the cash flow and liabilities in your organization, how do you do it right now with our system? You may ask, how easy is it for the accounting departments to see accurately all invoices that have been received but not yet been paid? For a paper-based process, the accounting department can see those invoices only after the manager approval is completed, which may be a bit late. With Concur Invoice Platform, the accounting department can have instant visibility into all outstanding payables to the suppliers, no matter what stage of the process the invoice sits. This allows the business to efficiently manage their cash flow and accruals and avoids any surprises. Some customers told us that it is very difficult to get visibility into all committed spend prior to invoices arriving and being keyed into the finance system. This is particularly important for the multi-period project costs. Concur Invoice Platform can provide a report that shows all invoices received against each purchase order. This provides a summary total of the invoice received and, most importantly, an outstanding balance for the overall purchase order, providing that visibility into committed spend. By capturing the granular data, organizations can analyze spend in many different dimensions. They can then understand what are the main cost drivers to assist better cost optimization decisions. For example, line manager would like to see who will spend most in certain period of time so as to minimize the unnecessary expenses. On the other hand, the procurement manager would probably like to see which suppliers they have spent more with so that they can reduce their vendor costs by negotiating better rates and terms with those vendors. Moreover, if you want to spend on what matters most, you can see the granular cost analysis report for different cost centers and projects. You can see how much have been spent for some customers, projects, or events. Even the sales departments can make any adjustment in their business strategy in order to optimize the spending. If your organization has already been using corporate card for T&E expenses, such as Amex, Visa, and MasterCard, there are out-of-the-box integrations with Concur. This is a report showing which credit card transactions are still outstanding for expense claims. This helps you to know ahead how much the employees have spent, and you can reserve enough cash to pay for this transaction, as well as remind the corresponding employees for these outstanding transactions. As a finance expense auditing, you may find cases where the employees have claimed this expense without any receipts. Have you ever got ready reports to find out how many of the reports did not have the receipts? In the worst case is that even the manager has not billed the receipts in the whole report level, or even not all expense items. Concur platform provides these two reports, namely missing receipt audit and reports approved but receipts not billed, which can help the finance auditor to achieve this purpose. With this report, any suspected fraud can be spotted out. Therefore, the unnecessary spend will be saved from the company perspective. I hope after my sharing today, you will get better understanding if you want to deploy a spend management solution. What are the four main elements that will be required in the current new world of work? To summarize, they are automation, pre-spend budget control, effective compliance enforcement, as well as the visibility and spend governance. Hope you can remember these four elements when you select a spend management solution in your company. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for everyone on the line. Hope you enjoyed this section. If you have any question, please feel free to raise it up in the Q&A panel.
Well, we're expensing it anyway, right? So I'm gonna have the chicken. I'm gonna have the chicken. This is the best chicken at any lobster restaurant.
Welcome back. We have Victor and Stanley from EY again for the Q&A section. So let me take a look at what questions we got from the Q&A chat box. Okay, so I see a question here from Adrian, and he's asking, we have a number of overseas offices, but the travel is less now. For my T&E spending, we will have some local expense like entertainment, traveling, and communication charges. Any suggestion for doing cost control on these expenses as well? What do you think, Stanley?
I think, yes, basically a lot of travel has been blocked right now. But again, because of the travel is blocked, other spending is actually larger right now. For example, IT spending. People are using different collaboration tools to do a lot of like meetings, webinar, right? And all the network spend, and also as well as the tools and also the cloud solution for collaborations. So those are the little expense type. I believe not just IT, some other expense will be for local expense as well, for work from home. So I believe in terms of category management, make sure that you have proper set of those categories that you don't have before. Yeah. Make sure you have an eye on it and monitor it properly.
Yeah, so for this point, I also want to add to it. Like I read a study saying that right now the T&E spending has declined by 60%, but they find that the violation rate is up to 200%. Right. So it is also maybe because like there are some new types of expense coming up because of this work from home a new normal, and then they may not have the policies to cater for that. And we do have customers trying to tricking their system and also their policy to include some like even defined as a work from home or COVID-19 expense category, so they can keep track of the expense better in the long and short run. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so let me take a look if there is any other questions. Okay, so there's a question from Brenda. She's asking like, what are the major obstacles you would see from your customers employing spend management solution? What is the preparation work they would need to do? Stanley, maybe can you answer this question?
I think the most important thing is find proper solutions. That's very important. On the other hand, after you find proper solutions, the resources is also very important as well. Because when you have a finance or two finance person is doing a lot of admin work already, if you want to do a spend management solutions, then you probably need extra resources to help out. Otherwise, you cannot ask people to like 200% to work on something, right? So proper resources management and planning is important. In terms of preparation, I think two areas. One, in a effective way of doing spend management, I guess the historical data, the data that you have, is important. Make sure that you have proper data, and then you can make use of the historical data, put into the new solution, so that you can immediately get some benefit out of it. So data preparation is important. And the other thing is on the policy as well. So make sure you have understand what are the spend category they want, what are the policy, so you can take out what are the unnecessary spend that you are going to was spending a lot.
Yeah, that is very good point. From my experience, I also see that like customer have some challenges to like try to strike a balance between like cost control and compliance and employee satisfaction. Right. Because for finance department, usually they would like to have like stricter control, and they try to do like all the audit rules or control points in the process when they deploy a solution. But it will create a lot of dissatisfactions from the employees because they find that they are being under control and it's not user friendly. They have extra work to do right now. So I think it's also key point like the company need to like take step by step when they're doing this kind of process engineering to make sure that all the stakeholders in the companies they're happy or at least are welcome to such a change that at the end they can bring some benefits to each of them. Okay, let's see, we have another question here. Okay, okay, there is a question saying like someone is wanted to know, like, this is from Catherine. She's asking how long is the project implementation, and she wants us to describe a little bit more about that. And so I think there's quite a technical question. Maybe Victor can help with that.
If we talk about the project implementation, most of the customer cases for the deployment of the total spend management solution, it usually takes, based on our experience, 10 to 12 weeks to finish the project implementation. And the project is usually done by our local consultant. And also they've got a lot of the best experience, particularly for different industries, and also some of the best practice and templates. So that's why a lot of the implementation is so quick to deploy and implement. And also, so far, all the project implementation is successfully implemented and online.
Okay, good, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I see that there's still quite a lot of questions in the chat box, but no worries, we still have some our staff at the back end. They will try to answer your questions. Here, I think here's the end of today's webinar, and before we say goodbye, and I just want to remind you to try to spend 1 to 2 minutes to fill in the questionnaire in the right-hand side of your screen, and hope that you will find today's event very fruitful and insightful. And once again, thanks Stanley for joining us today, and also Victor for your presentation. Yeah. Bye.
I've been feeling kinda strange today. Something in the town has gone insane, and they are coming after everybody every day, not just the end of month. Doesn't matter if you're working all the way, needing to escape from all the dreadful days.
SAP コンカーならあらゆる支払い方法と自動連携、入力レスでどこでも生産。